You say it dozens of times every single day. Good job. Well done. You're so smart. You're so talented. And it comes from a completely loving place every single time. They smile. You smile. The moment passes and it feels right. Warm. Loving. Exactly what a good parent is supposed to say. But here is something that will make you think twice about that phrase. In a landmark study by psychologist Carol Dweck, children who were praised with phrases like "good job" and "you're so smart" were given a harder task immediately after. 67% of them chose to give up rather than risk failing. But children praised for their effort, not their result, kept going. 92% of them chose the harder challenge and performed significantly better. Same children, different words, completely different outcomes. That is not a small difference. That is the difference between a child who avoids difficulty and a child who runs toward it. What Dweck discovered and spent decades proving is that praise shapes one of two mindsets in a child. A fixed mindset, where a child believes their abilities are set and permanent, or a growth mindset, where a child believes their abilities can be developed through effort and persistence. Good job praise, as loving as it is, consistently builds the first. What I am about to show you builds the second. And before we go any further, something important needs to be said clearly. Good job comes from love. It comes from wanting your child to feel seen and encouraged and proud of themselves. That intention is completely right. There is something that feels deeply natural about saying it. Like you are doing your job. Like you are being the encouraging, present, loving parent you always wanted to be. But intention and impact are not always the same thing. And the impact of good job on a developing child's brain is something every parent deserves to understand. The parents who understand this and intentionally change how they respond are the ones child psychologists consistently identify as high-impact parents, not because they are perfect, but because they are intentional about the small daily language that shapes who their child becomes. Because here is what research consistently shows. When children hear "good job" repeatedly, they do not develop a stronger sense of their own ability. They develop a stronger need for someone else to tell them they are doing well. The praise becomes the goal, not the effort, not the learning, not the experience, the approval. Over time, children raised on constant result-based praise begin to avoid challenges, not because they are lazy or unmotivated, but because challenges carry the risk of not getting the good job praise at the end. And a child whose sense of worth depends on external approval cannot afford to fail. So they stop trying things that might not go perfectly. This is the hidden cost of good job. It feels like encouragement, but it functions like a leash. So what do you say instead? In the next few minutes, I am going to give you 6 specific replacement phrases organized by the exact situation you are in, and I am going to tell you precisely why each one works differently inside your child's brain. Because the goal is not just to swap one phrase for another. The goal is to understand what you are actually building in your child every time you respond to their effort. The first replacement is describing what you see instead of judging it. Instead of "good job," say what you actually observe. You used so many different colors in that drawing. You stacked those blocks all the way to the top. You kept trying even after it fell down 3 times. This works because it shifts your child's attention from your approval back to their own experience. They begin to evaluate their own work rather than waiting for your verdict. Over time, this builds something good job praise never can. A genuine internal voice that notices, evaluates, and takes real pride in their own effort without needing someone else to confirm it first. That is what you are building. One observation at a time. The second replacement is asking questions that invite reflection. Your child holds up their finished drawing and looks at you waiting. Most parents fill that silence with "good job." Try filling it with a question instead. How did you figure that out? What was the hardest part? Are you happy with how it turned out? What would you do differently next time? These questions teach children that their own perspective on their work matters. That thinking carefully about what they did is more valuable than being told what someone else thinks about it. Children who are regularly asked these questions develop stronger self-awareness and more genuine confidence than children who are simply evaluated. The third replacement is naming the process, not the product. Good job praise shifts the focus to the finished result, but growth does not happen in the result. It happens in the attempt, the persistence, the problem solving, the recovery from failure. Name those things specifically. You worked on that for such a long time. You found a different way when the first approach did not work. You did not give up even when it felt frustrating. These responses tell the child something far more powerful. They tell them who they are in the middle of difficulty. And that is where character is shaped. Not in the easy moments, in the hard ones. The fourth replacement is expressing your genuine personal response. Think about the last time your child showed you something they made and you felt genuinely moved by the effort behind it, not just the result. That feeling is more valuable than any phrase. Say it out loud. I love watching you create things. That genuinely made me smile. I really enjoyed seeing you work through that problem. This is fundamentally different from good job because it is authentic and human rather than evaluative. Children feel the difference between a reflexive good job and a parent who is genuinely moved by what they just witnessed. One creates approval seeking. The other creates real connection. The fifth replacement is acknowledging effort specifically during difficulty. The moments that matter most are not moments of easy success. They are moments when things are hard, when the puzzle will not come together, when the drawing does not look the way they imagined, when they are ready to give up entirely. In those moments, say something specific. I can see how hard you are working on that. It is completely okay that it feels difficult right now. Difficult things feel this way because they are worth doing. This teaches children something that changes everything about how they face challenges for the rest of their life. Difficulty is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that something meaningful is happening. Teach them that early. It changes everything. The sixth replacement is being fully present without any words at all. Picture this. Your child is working on something across the room. You are on the sofa. Your phone is in your hand. They look up to check if you are watching. What they see in that moment matters more than anything you could say. Sometimes the most powerful response to your child's effort is not a phrase. It is your complete and undivided attention. Putting down your phone, stopping what you are doing, watching fully and genuinely. Children feel the difference between a parent who glances over and says, "Good job," while looking at a screen, and a parent who stops everything and truly watches. That full presence communicates something no phrase can fully replace. What you are doing is important enough for me to stop everything and witness it completely. Here is what changes when you begin making this shift. Not immediately, not dramatically, but gradually over weeks and months of small repeated interactions, something begins to happen inside your child. They start working on things for longer without looking up to check if you approve. They start talking about what they made, rather than asking if you like it. They start choosing harder challenges because the risk of imperfection no longer feels threatening. They start developing a voice inside themselves that notices their own effort and feels genuinely proud of it without needing anyone else to confirm it. That voice, that is the goal. Because the real goal of praise has never been to make a child feel good in the moment. The real goal is to help them develop an accurate, resilient, internally grounded sense of who they are and what they are capable of. And that begins not with good job, but with something far more specific, far more honest, and far more powerful. It begins with you truly seeing them. One day you will see what that looks like fully grown. You will watch your child attempt something genuinely difficult, something that could go wrong, something that requires real courage, and instead of looking around for someone to tell them they are doing well, they will simply keep going, quietly, confidently, fueled entirely from the inside. That child does not appear by accident. They are built, slowly, in small moments, in the specific words a parent chose when a drawing was held up or a block tower fell or a puzzle refused to come together. It was never about the phrase. It was always about what the phrase was teaching them to believe about themselves. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these phrases did you grow up hearing as a child, and how do you think it shaped you? Drop your answer in the comments. And tell me your child's age. I want to know what stage of parenting you are navigating right now. If this video gave you something useful, please share it with another parent today. And if you want more simple psychology-backed parenting insights, subscribe to my home daily. We are so glad you are here.